Welcome to Season 3 of the Knack 4 Business Podcast. Over 350 episodes strong, we're here to ignite your entrepreneurial spirit with fresh insights, networking gems, and creative strategies that elevate your game.
From the audience perspective, are you struggling to find real leads and keep them engaged so your cash flow doesn't dry up? That's what Jacques going to dive into here, and how to use AI tools and smart marketing strategies to stop leads from slipping through the cracks, boost engagement, and drive faster sales. Our guest today is Jacques from Your Business Nation. Now, let me tell you a bit about Jacques is the dynamic mind behind Your Business Nation and the author of Drive to Success, a book that shares his entrepreneurial highs and lows. Born in Montreal and a McGill grad in marketing and economics, Jacques' career began with launching Tylenol in Quebec, moved through hospital supply bidding and drug testing diagnostics, and then pivoted into entrepreneurship, from building BNI networking chapters to launching an import-export gourmet food business. He's weathered sharp turns like the fallout of 9/11 and COVID, each time evolving his approach. Today, his digital marketing agency and proprietary 12-step cash flow system, Jacques uses AI and software to deliver ready-to-convert leads and help businesses tighten their marketing for faster deals. He's a passionate believer that owners don't need outside help. They just need the right tools to unlock the next level. Jacques, it is an absolute pleasure having you here today. Do you have a favorite quote or saying?
Oh my God, is that Dan Draper had mentioned something very clear. It was a show called Mad Men, and he said that advertising is based on one thing: happiness and how products make you feel. People buy on feeling. That's what made that quote so remarkable in my mind.
You also have a tagline that's kind of unique.
Yeah, because leads fall through the cracks. And that's my whole story. My business journey is running a barter club, a barter organization. I noticed everybody was complaining that they didn't have any clients. And they had a couple of problems. One of them is they didn't have good leads. And the second one, they were falling through the cracks. They didn't know how to follow up. They didn't know how to create engagement of your cash flow in your business. Is following up.
Unpack that for me, Jacques. Just tell us more about the secret.
The secret is that a lot of business owners, they forget something, right? There's two weaknesses. Number one is that they're not clear about their client avatar. Who are they? You see that a lot in the insurance industry. Oh, I want somebody that needs insurance, compared to I want to insure a young couple that just got married, they just bought a home, and they have one kid. You see the difference there. When you're really able to focus on your target avatar, it makes it a lot easier. Then you need to have a system that allows you to create engagement, a conversation. The most important thing is that clients that want to buy, they don't buy on price. They buy on feeling. How you make them feel is the experience of dealing with you. That's the big problem today in marketing with this younger generation, which is great. They love these marketing tools, but they sell benefits. Benefits are not as powerful as having a conversation that engages, that educates them, and also make sure that the leads that you're talking with, now they're building trust, like an understanding of what you're offering. And that makes the whole difference. Capturing that lead and engaging to educate, it makes the whole difference.
COVID played a big role in your new pivot, Jacques. Tell me more.
You know, I'm behind this book called Drive to Success, and it's about my business failures. But if you don't fail, you can't learn and become a better person, a better business owner. COVID was interesting because I was running my barter organization, and overnight, all the bartering is really about a lot of retail businesses. Most of them are retail businesses, meaning that you have a door on a sidewalk where a client has to come in. That's really the target avatar of bartering. And overnight, when COVID happened, my clients had to close their doors, and they were not paying their monthly fees to keep their account open. But in the same time, they were not doing transaction. And we made a cash percentage on transactions. So I said, you know what? That's it. I've been in that world for 10 years. Bartering is the best kept cash flow secret for small businesses in America. everybody should be doing some type of bartering. It's just a powerful tool. So then when that happened, I just made a reflection on my top like 20, 30 clients, and they would come to my desk and cry about their business. And I noticed that their problem was not excess inventory, right? Like the carpet store's got carpet in the back. The dentist has got empty chairs. Same thing for the massage therapist. The restaurant's got empty tables. They're all complaining about that. Excess capacity, empty tables, empty chairs, and empty appointments, right? For the dentist or the chiropractor, you need an appointment to go into the office. That was the complaint. But when I really thought about it, that was not the complaint. The complaint was the hidden problem. They were complaining about the hidden problem, and the hidden problem is the fact that they did not have enough leads. They didn't have enough leads. They didn't know how to generate them. They didn't have an advertising budget. They didn't do any networking, which is free. Based on that experience, I had a flow of energy from the universe. I said, wait a minute. 2 problems: leads. Second problem, engagement. So we developed with my team. Well, I was building my team then. What we were doing then is that say, okay, I was already using something called 12-step cash flow for our follow-ups with clients in the barter industry. And also when I was doing the import-export business, I had this really complicated spreadsheet on how to follow up and when to follow up and put everybody in categories. And now everything is automated. But COVID really pushed me to look at tools, automated tools that allowed me to do 2 things, right? Target the proper leads for business categories, and then take those leads, capture them, create the engagement, and make sure that they're closed with less resistance. COVID was a wake-up call. All that stress where the cash wasn't coming in because we couldn't bill clients. I just got that inspiration. This is not the problem. It's not the excess that they have, is that they do not have leads. And so that was pretty much it.
You use AI to make this process work. Can you tell me about that?
We use AI in 2 ways. We have a proprietary platform where we are able to find people in real time that are searching on the internet. Let me give you 2 examples. One example is Mr. Smith, right? That is in Winnipeg, and his dog has cancer. So he goes on the web looking for solutions for dog cancer therapy. Okay. So he's doing all type of searches, right? What are the solutions? What are the clinics? How do you do this? What should my dog not do? We are able to track his behavior, his intention to find information about dog cancer therapy in real time. The clients that we have are going to get an email by 10 o'clock, and we're going to give them leads of people that were looking for certain things last evening and all night up to this morning, 9 a.m. So that's the way we use AI. It's proprietary and very powerful. The second example is that we are able to find Mrs. Smith that is looking for a home in a particular zip code. We know that she visited 3 or 4 houses, whether she went to a real estate company directly to their website or whether they were on Zillow or whatever. Now we sell that to real estate agents that want to have prospects looking for a home in certain zip codes. That's the way the AI works for the leads by intention. A lot of people out there, they're saying, oh, we sell leads by intention. Well, what they do is they use Google ads and Facebook ads to see exactly what are the most popular words, and they pay the advertising to bring in those people based on ads. We don't do it that way. We pretty much catch them before. So that's one way that we use AI. The second way that we use AI is in the process of engagement, right? So as I shared with you, the 12-step cash flow is a proprietary concept where we split up the customer journey, the sales cycle in 12, right? I don't think that any business owner needs help. They need to be empowered in one area of their sales cycle where they don't know that they don't know, right? Sometimes they don't know how to find their target avatar, meaning their target client, that they can sell their services and resolve their problem. Sometimes they don't know how to capture. You got to be able to capture your avatar, your lead, right? Your lead is a stranger. You capture them. Now you create your engagement, which is the customer journey. And in that engagement, your lead becomes a prospect. And a prospect is a friend, no longer a stranger, because that friend, you're communicating with him. And as you the more you communicate with that person, the more you're building trust, like, and understanding. But you're not selling benefits. You're educating them. Educating a prospect is a lot more powerful than selling them benefits. And there comes a point where your prospect has got that gut feeling, right? Like Dan Draper said, he feels good about your business, about your solution, and now they bite the bullet. Engagement through education allows business owners to close with less resistance. When you close them, you need to have an offer, right? You need to have an offer that's very appealing. I don't necessarily mean a discount. I mean, if you buy from us, we're going to give you this benefit, that benefit. We have an onboarding process or whatever, right? So you have to be able to close them in a way that it's very appealing. Once they're closed, they become family, right? They paid. Stranger, friends, family. Family is a client. And when you have a client that works with you, it's a whole new ballgame. You have 4 steps in the 12-step cash flow. That's all about once the client paid you, what are your options? To make it sweet and short, you could talk about affiliate programs, membership, loyalty programs. There's a lot of things you can talk about. So the COVID really fueled the thought that this is what the problem is. The problem is they don't know how to find good leads and they don't know how to create engagement. Now, the second way we use AI is that in our conversation, in our communications, we are able to use AI to put tone into the engagement, right? What type of tone in the conversation do we want to have? One of fear of missing out. For example, if I work with roofers, that they really feel that if they don't get this job done, they may lose value of the property, right? Because it may cause more damage. In a conversation when you're working with, for example, veterinarians, and what we do in their email blast is we put the tone that your pet is part of your family. You feel a little bit guilty because the pet's alone at home. So you got to pamper the pet. You got to make sure that they go for their regular shots and things like that. The AI really allows us to fine tune the education engagement right in sync with the solution. So it's not about, you have a problem, I have the solution. No. When you buy from us, whether you're a roofer, a vet, or whatever, your future will be better. Your investment will be protected. So that's how we use AI to fine tune the content to make sure that the engagement created goes hand in hand with what the future is going to look like when they don't have to worry anymore about their problem.
You're using AI. And is this off-the-shelf AI, or do you have your own proprietary setup? Now we know that different devices will listen in on conversations, and miraculously, all of a sudden, you're getting ads for something you talk to the wife about. How does your AI come into play here, or do you capitalize on something else that's out there?
Very good question. So 2 answers. First of all, for the engagement, right, there's different tools. There's Claude, there's Perplexity, there's ChatGPT. I personally, for content with my team, we like using Perplexity. We like the way it operates. They're all different, but for our purpose in creating the content, we use I love Perplexity. Did I say that I love Perplexity? I think I did, right?
Do you like Perplexity?
It's freaking awesome, bro. For writing emails, for everything. It's even to find lower your cholesterol, eating healthy muffins, whatever you want. It pumps out whatever you want. It also does with ChatGPT and others, but I personally like that one. For our business, in regards to AI leads, we use a proprietary platform. Let's say you have Manhattan, right? The island of Manhattan. And west of Manhattan, you have in New Jersey, you have an area called Unionville, which is about pretty much Penn Station, 42nd on the other side of the river, right? Unionville is very Latino. If you go south of the island of Manhattan, you have Queens. When people do searches on the internet, we resolve the same problem because Queens is a lot more African American. They don't use the same keywords to search for the same problem than Latinos in Unionville, because Unionville is very, very Latino. So when we're working with a roofer in the New York area, we have got to make sure that we know what target market they're looking at. That's why we need to know, where do you want your service to be delivered? In what zip code? We take about 50 zip codes. They can be in Unionville or Queens. We ask the client, what in your mind, what keywords are people looking for? Number one. Then we go to their website. If they have an FAQ, we have a better understanding. Then we screen the FAQ with AI to verify what are the 5 main things that come out of our FAQ. Then what we do, we say, okay, let's go in those 2 markets and see 2 major things that we do is we look at Google AdWords and Facebook AdWords. And we also look at Google Business Profile and 2 other things. So what we do now is we say, okay, a $5 word in Queens may be $50 in Unionville and vice versa. That's why it's very important to know where you want to deliver your service, right? In what area do you want? Because it makes our AI a lot more powerful. Then the AI comes back to us and says, wait a minute, based on the keywords in the area that are the most expensive and what you're giving me as questions from the client, there's a disconnect, right? It will tell us right away. And then we have to use another AI that will decide, will do the searches. Why is there a disconnect? Is it because the client may not really understand their target avatar? They think that people are looking for this problem and that problem, or they're asking these questions when they're on Google, but they're not. So now the system comes back to us, the AI comes back to us, and now it's challenging us to say, wait a minute, what's happening here? We go into another AI that we use, that the system used by default, right? Just like 4 or 5 steps. And then it comes back and it tries to explain what may have happened. We go back to the client, we'll say, okay, this is what we're getting. It's not consistent with what you're giving us. What could be the problem? And then very often they have an aha moment and they think, oh, God, you're right. I didn't think about it. That is what our system is able to do. Out of 100 leads, we know that 70 will have an intention to find more information about whatever you sell.
What are the timelines starting this process and making the sale? Is there a flow?
Yes, there is a flow. We have so many steps that we have to go through. A good example is this. Tuesday morning, get a phone call. This gentleman is a roofer from a roofing company, says, we had a hailstorm over the weekend in Denver, and I'm a roofer, and I need to make sure that I find people that are looking for roofing solutions. Can you help me? Tuesday morning. Yeah. But he says, there's a sense of urgency here because it happened 2 days ago. I know that people are calling their insurance or waiting to see if they got a budget. And next week, it's going to be too late. I need to talk to people before. And he says, I don't think that ads are going to work. Okay, ads work. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So I said, okay, let me send you the questionnaire. By 12 o'clock, he brings back the questionnaire. I get on the phone with my team. They start fiddling around with the AI. The AI comes back. By 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I go back to my new client and said, we can help you. Right now, what's happening is people are really looking for those 3 keywords in your area. Now, the only thing we need to know is what geographical area the damage was. And it happened to be in an area where homes are all over, they're all more than 3,000 square foot, meaning it's wealthy people. They have money. So we said, okay, we're going to click the button in probably 6 o'clock tonight and start generating for you. How many leads do you need? What I recommend, because there's a sense of urgency, let's start by 10 leads a day, right? So Wednesday, you'll have 10, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you'll get 50. Then we'll readjust the system to see how good they are and continue, because we always have to fine tune. So by Monday, the guy had 2 sales of about 20,000 and the other one, I think 27,000 by Monday. And our leads are good. 70% says, yes, how did you know that we're looking for this? So that's a little bit how it works.
You ever find that you can leverage this then, say I'm the insurance company and I need to find some roofers. Does this also go B2B or for the supply chain? I'm getting a lot of demands for roofing right now because there was a storm that just blew through here. Can I also leverage this platform to hunt out the suppliers because everybody's replacing their roofs? Can this help me find more resources too?
Yeah, of course. We have, the only time, and I should not even have this conversation because we're recorded, but just between us.
Listen to this podcast.
So the AI leads work extremely well, but they're dependent on something called human beings. Have you ever heard about human beings?
We keep surfacing every once in a while. I used to see them on the highway when I'm driving down the road.
So the 2 conversations here, 2 answers to your question. Number 1, if the human being does not know how to close a deal, a sale on the phone, my leads are not good. They're crap. You really have to know to take that lead, take that call, create that engagement, position your solution, understand their problem, and close. That's a skill. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody are good salespeople in their company. And some business owners are better salesperson than other, right? Number 1. Number 2, if you are very specific on your avatar, the client that can buy from you, and the solution you're offering, there's 2 relationships there, then we can make that match. But very often, if the insurance company says, oh, I just want to sell insurance to anybody, it's not going to work, right? You got to tell me exactly who you're going after. I was on the phone yesterday with a gentleman. They do a lot of cold call emails, which we also do. And basically, he's a competitor of us, but what a great guy. We had an hour conversation yesterday, and he was telling me, oh, I would love to work with your AI. I said, okay, fine. So can you get me 1,000 leads? Yeah, but I said, can you be specific? I am looking for any company in the US that want to do a cold call email campaign. Said, oh my God. I said, bro, I can't help you. What do you mean? If you tell me that you are looking to reach every chiropractor, every restaurant that does more than $5 million a year, or any vet in the country that have certain specification, right? Then I can help you because we can go after, for example, the chiro office. We can check their credit rating. We can check how many years they've been in business. We can check, for example, are they above 5 million or below 5 million? And then we can target that and feed our AI to find those people. So the more specific you are with what you're looking for or what problem you can resolve, the easier our AI will operate and give you good results. But it has to be specific, and right, it can be in a geographical area or it can be nationwide. But as long as you're specific, then we can program the criteria as it comes back to us and says, this is not going to work. I suggest the AI says, you're better off with these keywords. Yeah, we go back to it's a back and forth. It's really teamwork. And yes, we can most likely find practically anything as long as it's specific and you can define it and it's clear. Yes.
You mentioned that you have a cash flow 12-step process. You also mentioned that you learned this the hard way. Tell me about your own cash flow journey and how you solved your own problem.
Oh boy, I love that one. That's a good question. That's a tough one. So then, yeah, now I have to become vulnerable to you guys. I mean, it's going to be tough. I'm joking here. So what happened is the following. When I was doing the import-export business, right, I was traveling between Montreal and San Francisco. I was selling these little jars, what they call gourmet food, the expensive stuff, right? For example, hand-picked organic blueberries. We introduced the first raw hemp seed bar into the US, right? I was called Equibar, Equibar. We got that into many health food retailers in LA and in San Francisco. My problem then was I was going to these events, right? These trade shows, like the fancy food show or a health fair. You go there, there's like 100 different booths and there's a couple of thousand people on the floor. I was also going to events in Montreal. I was collecting all of these business cards. And that was a few years ago, 20 years ago, when we didn't have all that automation. So I would come back from an event with a bunch of cards like that, right? And then I would sit on my computer with Excel spreadsheet. And I would say, okay, Danielle, I only have a phone number and no email. Oh, John, I only have an email, no phone number. And some people would put a fax number. Very, very convenient when you want to follow up. So I had this spreadsheet where I had different columns and I had Post-it notes I was using, different colors for different follow-up that I needed to do. And there was a point that I got lost because I had a CRM. I was putting notes in it. I had an Excel spreadsheet that I was using and found out that Excel spreadsheets do not do any phone calls. An Excel spreadsheet does not call people, but you can put alarms on an Excel spreadsheet. Everybody is using MailChimp or Constant Contact, and they're great. With one of my friends, Peter, we designed on my Excel spreadsheet a whole process, 12-step cash flow. I identified the client avatar. I identified the engagement. I identified the strangers. They were tagged. I identified the friends that once I captured their information, I spoke to them. They got an email or a letter from us. We're doing a lot of postcards. Then they became a friend. They became a prospect. And then we pretty much had the whole concept mapped out. Like there were 5 steps in the engagement. Then 20 years ago, it wasn't that much. Engagement meant more, okay, you have this problem. Here's a solution. We got the best price. We got the best warranty. You're going to have the only product, for example, in your store, in your area. No one else is going to have this hand-picked blueberry jar or the pâté de foie or bison meat in a can. We had those too and a lot of stuff. So that being said, there's a lot of companies that started doing a little bit of automation, right? So we bought memberships of a company B and a company C, and they all had something different, but they were not perfect. Until COVID hit, we had this whole spreadsheet that was working. It would tell me on a Monday morning, you got these 17 calls to do. You got these 7 emails to send. We programmed it in a way that it was a nightmare. But once it was programmed, it was rock solid. I was praying that somebody would have a software that we could use, that we can program to automate all of that stuff that was done in Excel. Excel does not send emails. Excel does not call people. Excel does not text. Excel does not do voice drop. So we white labeled a software a couple of years ago that allowed us to do all of that. I said, wait a minute, I can't do this stuff. I just don't do this. I need a programmer. So today we have 2 programmers. That's all they do. What we're able to do now is automate the whole process. Let me share with you an example of an outcome. Like yesterday, we have different industries, right? We work with the furniture business too, because they have a huge problem. There's too much competition. There's too much price competition. So people have to buy from them when they feel good, which is what our marketing dude from Mad Men had to say. So what we've noticed yesterday is out of 8,000 emails, cold emails sent to people in the area, we selected business categories that have money to buy furniture over $2,000 or $3,000. Out of 8,000 emails, we had 1,500 that opened the email more than 3 times. with the AI we're using, we're able to determine that there was about 300 of them, 295, I think, 300 of them that had went to the website. And in the website, they had 3 areas they could go. Now we know that Mother's Day is but 10 days ago. We knew people that went for Mother's Day. We knew people that just did general browsing. And we also knew people that are looking for the excess inventory, the blowout sale. And so yesterday evening, we sent an email with all the 295 people that visited. Now, we do that once a month. So that's how we were able to use our AI with our platform. And we noticed that out of every 100 calls they do, they get about 2 sales. And that's about $5,000. So just with those 2 sales, our marketing fee with them is paid for. That's out of 100 calls. If they're going to call everybody, they should get probably 5 sales, minimum 4 sales out of 300 calls, but they probably can get 5 or 6. It depends on who does the call if they're able to sell. That's how we use automation. That's what we do with 12-step cash flow. We integrate 12-step cash flow with AI, with the engagement, with the education. It's like a melting pot where we use different skills depending on where they need it. The next step is a loyalty program. We're working with them. They have a lot of difficulty understanding how loyalty program works, and it works extremely well, like a retargeting campaign. And I will offer Bernie and Wayne, I'm going to offer you guys, I'll do for you a 30-day free retargeting program with you, retargeting campaign. So you have an understanding how it works at no cost. I'll do that for you as long as you have anywhere from 200 to a couple of thousand. I'll help you with a retargeting campaign so you can remind people in the past who you are and what you can do for them. And you'll see it works extremely well. A retargeting campaign, you're going to get a couple of calls and say, oh my God, I forgot about you, Wayne. I forgot about you, Bernie. Yeah, let's have a conversation. It works. It's incredible. That's at the end. That's in one of the 4 last steps.
When you're doing this whole package, is it just you having a chat with the client? Is it like the cold call or the reminder call? Or is it also the content? So that's you doing an ad, because Facebook ads are part of it, or Facebook presence, or LinkedIn, depending where your audience sits. And you also do the content for the script. Is that also something that you meld in together?
Yeah, it depends on what exactly they need. Very often when they buy the AI leads, it leads by intention. There's things that we could do for them, right? Every AI lead campaign comes with a landing page in some type of follow-up, because when an AI lead comes in, or they're tire kickers, or they want to take a decision within 30 days, or they say, you know what, we're going to decide in 2-3 months, right? We don't know if the insurance is going to pay, and the hole is really small. There's not enough water coming in from that hole to damage our furniture. So we're okay, we're going to wait. And that's what people do. So what we're able to do then is that we create the engagement. Ideally, the client tells, okay, here is how we engage our customer. Here's our newsletter. So we take their newsletter. Very rarely it's ready to go, because everybody's newsletter is really about benefits. We're going to just help your problem. It's not about what the future is going to look like. So then we have a package where we're going to fine tune the content. If we have good newsletter content, we fine tune it. It's included in our price. But when we have to start things from scratch, it can take hours. We have a package. We work with roofers. Why? Because they're great guys. They're not too strong on technology. They don't have the time. They have a budget. They don't have any money problems. And they never discount you. If you sell them something, they never go, oh, can you give me a discount? No, they don't. How much is it? Okay, let's get it up and running. That's why I like that target market a lot. They're very high energy, great characters to work with. So depending on if they have a little bit of content, we can fine tune it. We don't charge. But if they have bad content that we know is not going to engage, because when the lead comes in, they're going to continue shopping, right? They're going to go to Thumbtack, Yelp, Angie's, Home Advisors. They're going to go all over the place. But once they were communicated by the owner, now we have to create the engagement. So they stay top of mind. We don't care that they go to other roofers. We don't care, because once you're in there and you create that impact and you have a logo and your emails are branded like your company, you will then be top of mind. So they're going to shop around, yes, but when they're ready to buy, if you have good content, they're going to come back to you before they make the final decision. And again, you need to know how to sell. We don't sell. We just prepare. We bring the bride to the altar, but you have to ask her hand at the altar.
And have the ring.
Oh yeah, the ring. The ring is really important.
How, when you can produce good data and you actually come up with the, you know what, it's not the data's problem. How do you let them know that with integrity, but with dignity, so that they can either make choices or get out of the, how do you deal with the, it's not us, it's you problem?
Oh God. No. I never had that question, and it always pops up. Here's how we operate. Our slogan with YBN is because we care. So I have a situation where a home repair service company, a roofer, gave us $2,000 to get leads. He says, I went on your website. I saw your Eventbrite. I loved it. And I know you and I had a conversation. I went to your website and I said, like, $2,000 for these leads? Who the hell is that, right? So I go back into my systems. Oh yeah, I met him. He came to that event. I had that call with him. We sent him 3 text messages. He got 2 voice drops. Now I know who he was. So I said, okay, listen, can you tell me, yeah, we can get you up and running within, 48. Realistically, it's 3 days, but we can do it in 24 hours, but 3 days is better. So I said, can you tell me who is going to handle the leads? Because you got to call them, right? He says, yeah. It's Jenna, what was it, sister-in-law that's 60 years old. I have nothing against people that are 60 years old. On the contrary, I can relate to that age bracket. Not you, gentlemen, because you guys are half my age.
But what would,
No tread lost.
So I call the lady on the phone and I'm saying to myself, oh my God, she's a dinosaur. I call one of my staff members. I said, Erwin, you need to call this lady and pretend you need a roofing job for your home. And can you tape the conversation for me? He says, yes. After about 15 minutes, she got very defensive. She didn't know it was a prank call, but the way she handled the call was really not good. So I went back to the owner. I said, listen, he says, we spoke. Yeah, I said, I just want to share with you one thing. I don't think we can work together. He said, what do you mean? I paid you. I said, yeah, but I just generated a refund. What do you mean a refund? For what? I said, listen, I'm going to send you this recording. Can we listen to it together? We listened to the recording together on the phone, and he says, I knew that she wasn't a good salesperson, but I didn't think it was that bad. I said, listen, I can't work with you. Not because I don't want to, but because you're going to buy my leads. And I'm proving you that the person, your sales rep, can't convert. So you're going to tell me my leads are no good when I know they're good. I know that 7 out of 10, they want to talk to you. And you're going to get probably 1 out of 10 sales, maybe more, maybe less. But out of 100 leads, you're going to get at least 2, 3, 4 sales of $20,000. He says, well, how do we work around that? Well, I said, that's another conversation. But honestly, I sent you the refund and I just can't help you. Then he gave me the idea of putting in our packages a sales process, a sales training and blah, blah, blah. So we're working on that right now. But when I can't work with somebody, I'll just refund them, Wayne. We all like sales, but there gets a point when I have to be careful because I know the quality of what and I know how good they are. And I know sometimes they're not as good, but when they're not as good, we reprogram the AI to make them better. And I give a guarantee. 70%, they talk to you. If it's 50%, I'll give you free lead to bring it up to 70%.
there's our AI, call your AI. How big a geography do you work in, and how do they start with you? How do they find you?
Well, we are limited to the US with our technology because of regulation and things like that. Where we get our leads right now is through people that hear us on podcasts. We have an Eventbrite. We do a meetup in 21 cities across the US. We do Eventbrite, and then we have 3 different conversations. That's how we get known. People look for us. They search us. They find us that way. By networking, people learn about what we do. And we don't do ads because we really don't need ads right now. We get a lot of referrals. We work with people and then they refer us to somebody else. And that's how people can find us on the web. I have a personal website called Jacques, JACQUES 360.com, Jacques360.com. And there's also yourbusinessnation.com. But what's nice about Jacques360.com is that when you go there, you see everything. I do not want to dictate you to say, okay, go to a Facebook, go to my website, go to my Instagram, go to my TikTok. No, you decide where you want to go. And there's a lot of educational videos that are about 2 minutes, 5 minutes that explains the history of 12-step cash flow. It explains what Google Business Profile does. I have a team member that's all he does is GBP for retailers. Extremely powerful tool. And that's how they find us, pretty much by referral, by our events, by searching Your Business Nation. Yeah, I think we're busy. Matter of fact, I have to hire somebody else. We hired last week a cold caller, and we have somebody doing cold calls right now. Our next step is we have to hire a person specialized in content creation. That's our next step probably for the month of June. So we're growing. A nice speed, not too fast, not too slow.
That sounds like a Goldilocks moment. That's perfect, though. Scaling up at a nice pace. I want to say thank you to Jacques, my co-host Wayne, and you, the Knack for Business listeners. Without you, there'd be no point. We'd learn more things, but yeah, we're sharing that learning. So that's kind of the key. And in this case, Jacques is there to help you fix the problem of lost leads or stalled cash flow. He uses AI to drive that strategy forward and spark the connection. He loves helping entrepreneurs. He's done a lot of pivot himself, so he can help you in that space too.
To reach the podcast hosts, email them at info@creativeinsight.com or by the website creativeinsight.com, spelled KREATIVINSIGHT.com. To reach Wayne at his email, wayneamotive8u.ca, that is MOTIVE, the numeral 8 and the letter u.ca, or his website, motive8u.ca. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast and share your knowledge, let us know. We would also appreciate your feedback on the content or format. Check the show notes for more details. For these podcasts, we like to acknowledge the support and thanks to the following people: Carl Richards from Podcast Solutions Made Simple, a renowned podcast expert; Fred Crouch, who is the Property Wizard podcaster, where Bernie is a co-host; Jovan Strika from AR Hive, a co-working space that is more than just a space; then Melanie Weber, Bernie's invaluable business partner; and Wayne Pratt from Motive 8U Inc., who serves as both a coach and co-host of these podcasts. Disclaimer: please note that the Knack for Business podcast episodes are meant solely for educational and general informational purposes. The information and opinions contained within are not intended to be professional advice on any subject matter. The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by the participants are their own personal beliefs and do not represent the views of the podcast hosts or any affiliated organizations. It is important to note that this podcast is not a replacement for consulting with certified experts in your area who possess knowledge of your unique situation. The hosts of the podcast, along with any participants or affiliated groups, do not take responsibility for any actions taken or not taken based on the information presented in this episode. It is highly recommended that individuals seek guidance from their own personal advisors in fields such as accounting, law, or other pertinent areas prior to undertaking any actions or making decisions that may impact their financial, legal, or other aspects of life.